500K, dream big, baby. The social contract is broken, but MrBeast is still good for that $500,000.
Welcome to Wow True, the podcast of your wildest memes.
We're your one-stop internet culture shop here to dissect what's going viral, why we care, and how this might affect our real human lives. I'm really desperate to open this chocolate, honestly. Isabel.
And I also really want to open this chocolate. And I'm Amanda. Anyone could be famous on the internet, so why not us? I was gonna say that I'm stuck in a grocery store, but I was like, you know what? I need to be honest with this audience.
Yeah, you can't be gaslighting our audience like that, because, like, you know, like, what if you actually were? I also think we really, fucked ourselves by doing, we'll do a chocolate taste testing, and then buying the chocolate earlier in the day, because that meant that there was this chocolate on my desk all day that I was staring at that I couldn't eat, and it made me really want to eat it.
Yeah, so this is how we tell you that we're doing our MrBeast deep dive, the Beast-tacular, the Beast-a-thon, and he has a chocolate brand. So I was like, what if we get the chocolate and then we taste test it on the air? But yeah, I've been wanting to eat this chocolate bar all day, and I've not been able to. I have 2 of them, actually.
I also have 2 of them. We truly went all out with this. We will be claiming this on our taxes.
$6 for 2 candy bars.
Hey, you know how it is in this economy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna describe this chocolate bar to our audience. Should I do that?
Wait, should we describe who MrBeast is first, or should we just do
MrBeast has chocolate bars. He has many other things as well.
He has chocolate bars, and he also has 240 million YouTube subscribers. What more do you need to know? There is more to know, but first we have to try the chocolate.
I was really hesitating there because I was like, on one hand, it's good podcasting for us to explain the subject of our podcast. However, I want to eat this.
Yeah, we're really just doing our podcast in an illogical way. 1, because we want to eat the chocolate, and 2, because my friend is here and also wants to try the chocolate, and so we're going to have a taste test guest, Zoe Stoller.
Okay, so I'm going to describe what these chocolate bars look like. Does that feel good to you for this podcast?
Oh yeah, everyone wants to hear that.
All right, so, I'm going to do a little
ASMR.
All right.
Feastable
ASMR. It's got
ASMR.
kind of a plasticine wrapper. It says Feastables on it, which is the brand. And he definitely called it Feastables because Beast rhymes with feast, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because it's not a feast. Like, this is not a meal, it's like a snack.
I don't know, man. But, that's gotta be it, right? It is trans colors, because I have the original chocolate one in front of me. And it looks like a regular chocolate bar. It's just, a very, plasticky wrapper. Other than the fact that there's a QR code on the back where you can scan for more noms, more prizes, more Beast.
No. Wait, now I have to scan the QR code. I didn't do that.
I didn't either. Oh, it also says it has only 4 ingredients, which I thought was an interesting point of marketing for MrBeast's brand of chocolate bars, you know? I also have the MrBeast bar Crunch, which is milk chocolate with puffed rice, which has 6 ingredients.
Okay, yeah. I have the peanut butter one and the milk crunch one.
Are you ready to do this?
Yes.
This is what good podcasting is. Us eating chocolate on air.
And we have to introduce Zoe, who is coming over here and putting in the little headphone.
Yeah,
Hello.
Zoe has no qualifications to do this other than the fact that they have eaten chocolate before. Just like we have no qualifications to do this other than having eaten chocolate before.
Yes, Zoe has indeed eaten chocolate before.
I've eaten much chocolate. Perhaps more chocolate than you. I don't know. We'll find out.
How will we find out, Zoe? Okay, I'm opening this chocolate bar. I want to eat this chocolate. I'm going to try the original chocolate first, because that's how you should do these things.
Well, I didn't get the original, so I'm going to try the milk crunch. Oh, this is interesting. It's like there's tiny squares and then a big square.
Oh, this is weird. This says yeah, you're right. This is... Okay, hold on. I'm gonna, dissect this chocolate bar, because it does say share on the first one, and then it's a big cube, and then at the bottom it probably says something else. Hold on. I'm literally fucking up my desk for this.
It tastes like chocolate.
It says devour at the bottom.
Oh, are you going to devour it like it says to?
I guess I must.
This does indeed taste like an average chocolate bar, whichever chocolate bar has these little milky crisps in it. And if you told me it was a MrBeast Feastable, I would not have known.
I'm
going to be real kind. I think it's bad. That's my
Really? I think it just tastes like a chocolate bar.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm going to try the Milk Crunch one. Maybe that one's better, because I think the plain one is just, like, mediocre chocolate, and I'm bougie. I like the Milk Crunch one better.
There's, like, peanut butter, like, caramel drip in this. Very cool.
Yeah, now we're trying the peanut butter.
They didn't have the peanut butter where I went.
Okay, this is good. I enjoy this. I like anything where there's, like, gooey stuff coming out of the chocolate. That enhances the chocolate for me, personally. And this doesn't taste average. Like, I guess there are peanut butter chocolatey things, but this tastes, like, better than a typical that. So
yeah, because I feel like you typically have, like, a peanut butter filled M&M, but not necessarily a peanut butter filled chocolate bar.
Yes.
Oh, Reese's sells peanut butter filled chocolate bars now. I saw them next to the MrBeast Feastables at the Acme.
They clearly copied MrBeast. They need to
So,
get
of course.
Can I say that I got these chocolate bars this morning because we decided last night, like last minute, like, what if we get the chocolate? They had them at Target, but I was like, I'm not going to be able to go to Target. So I did a shipped order from Target. I, like, constructed a whole grocery run around getting the Feastables. Like, I didn't even need a grocery shop, but I was like, I can get a few things. Like, I can make it work. And then I get a text, and the lady's like, they are out of Feastables. And I was like, no. And then she sent a picture, and I saw them in the picture, and I was like, I feel like such an asshole, but I need to tell you, like, in the corner, like, they're in the picture. And then she was like, oh, the packaging was just different. Okay, like, I got them. But, like, I was like, should I tell her, like, oh, they're for my brother, and, like, he really wants them? Or, like, and I was like, why am I constructing a fake narrative to get Feastables?
Is that more or less weird than I need these Feastables for my podcast?
It's
less weird, I think.
Yeah, I really would not be able to explain that via text to the shipped shopper who is simply just trying to do their job.
Shipped shopper.
Okay. How would you guys rate this chocolate bar out of 10?
I feel like it definitely, so it recalls a memory for me in which, when I worked at Penn, we had a fridge that had candy in it sometimes, so people would just take, like, a little, like, Reese's during the workday and eat it. And there was a professor that I did not like, and he was in the kitchen at the same time as me. And I was trying to be nice, and I was like, oh, do you want chocolate? And he said, no, I only eat European chocolate.
I know which professor you're talking about, and I second that he would say that. And this is definitely not European chocolate. He would spit this out, I think, that professor.
Yeah. So coming from us, who clearly we are heathens, where our chocolate senses are not as refined as this professor, I would give the peanut butter one a 9 and the Crunch Bar like a 7.5.
Oh, wow. That's more generous than I was thinking.
I think they're good. I don't know. It's like, I'm not picky with my chocolate. I think it's good. Like, what do you want from me? I don't eat fancy chocolate. I eat, like, Trader Joe's peanut butter cups.
If I'm going to pay $3 for each bar, I would have expected slightly better chocolate for this. Because of the price point, I'm going to rate, I'll do like the Crunch one, I'll give it a 5 because it was just an average. It was just an average chocolate to me.
You're right.
Yeah, the peanut butter one, I'll give that a 7.5 because you know what? I went for a second bite. And that says a lot about how much I enjoyed that chocolate. And again, I don't know if I would pay $3 again for this, but I did enjoy it, and I would eat the rest of this bar, and that's lovely.
All right, I would give the plain chocolate solid 4. Worse than average, but it's fine. It's still chocolate. And the Rice Krispie situation, I'd give it a 7. I enjoyed that. I ate a second piece of it. The price point did not even register to me because everything in New York is so goddamn expensive, and I was just like, I guess this is the price I have to pay for podcasting.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't buy it again, per se. Like, I don't know. It's just like, yeah.
I wouldn't buy it again. I wouldn't get it again.
Because I feel like also I only want to buy MrBeast products if we're doing that as a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, and I just realized that my one Patreon subscription didn't even cover all of these chocolate bars.
Well, it might have.
Because it was $10, right? And the chocolates were $3 each, so 4 times 3, 12.
Wait, no, but I got 2 of them. Oh, wait, no, but for both of us.
All together, yeah.
Oh, yeah, damn.
So,
damn.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our Patreon so that we can get more chocolate. That is patreon.com/wowiftrue.
Okay, let's talk about MrBeast. Why are we eating his chocolate?
Yeah.
Who is this man, and why are we eating his chocolate?
That's yay. That was fun.
Thank you, Zoe, for your help.
Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely. What an honor.
So, MrBeast is the most subscribed and highest earning YouTuber, which is pretty crazy. The only channel on YouTube with more subscribers than him is a Hindi music channel called T-Series. And he's actually getting kind of close to them. Like, he's coming up on them. He has 245 million, and they have 261 million. And why is this man so famous? He is just simply a guy named Jimmy.
Yeah, his name is, like, literally... I feel like he has such a... His name is James Stephen Jimmy Donaldson. And he's also Gen Z, which I don't like.
This man could not have a more normal name. Like, I think that is part of his appeal, is that he is kind of an everyman, where he's just this random kind of nerdy, but not too nerdy white guy from North Carolina who liked YouTube and started making videos when he was 13, and thus that is why he's called MrBeast, because if you were 13, wouldn't you also name your channel MrBeast?
Do you know what I mean by this man looks like he's, like, the default character in a character creation?
Yes.
Like, for a video game? Like, he's just a white guy with a beard.
Yes.
He's a white man with brown hair and a beard.
He is the default.
He is also insane about making videos.
Yeah.
I guess we're talking about him because of that, because I feel like Amanda was the one who got on the MrBeast train derogatory earlier than I did, and I had to watch a bunch of Jimmy's videos.
So...
in the last couple days, and I was kind of like, okay, this compels me derogatory. I guess we're talking about this.
Yeah, so I found out about him in, like, late 2021. I, like, vaguely knew he existed, but I hadn't gone down the rabbit hole. But he released his video of Squid Game, but real life, except no one dies. And it broke a bunch of records for, like, getting the most views on YouTube in a set period of time. It went super viral. And I was like, who is this guy? And it also bothered me because the entire point of Squid Game is that it's about, like, how capitalism is evil and everybody is in, like, unbelievable amounts of debt for doing things like going to school or getting sick one time. And, like... Squid Game is a dystopia, and then he's recreating the dystopia by making people fight each other for $400,000. And it's like...
But to be clear, he does take out most of the fighting in the Squid Game video. So it's very much like the fangs are off, but the stakes are real, and it is people fighting for money in a game.
MrBeast has this bizarre, outsized influence on culture, and I've been weirdly... I'm a MrBeast scholar. Like, I'm an anthropologist of MrBeast. I wouldn't call myself a fan of him, even. Like, I don't think I like the guy, but I'm just very fascinated by his whole deal where he keeps upping the ante of what he's doing, like, one video at a time. Each video gets more and more extreme. So he's gone from his first viral video of counting to 100,000 over, like, an insane amount of time. Like, I think it was like 40 hours or something. I could be wrong. I didn't look it up. But he goes from counting to 100,000 to let's put two people in a room together and see if they can stay in the room together for 100 days, and then I'll give them a lot of money.
Right, like, I mean, it was like 400, it was like 500K.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of money was like 500K. So both the amount of money that he is putting up for grabs are obscene. But also the challenges that he's asking people to do are bizarre psychological stunts. Now, granted, what you see from his videos is that he is also participating in the psychological stunts. We're going to talk about this later because, like, I wanted to do a compare and contrast of survive 100 days trapped and win 500K versus I spent 7 days in solitary confinement. Like, he does have a willingness to put himself in hell that he creates, that he puts other people through. But there's something deeply disturbing about the content of these videos and the way that is extremely hypnotic. He's the sort of, like, I think he's cracked this is not new, exciting information. I think other people have talked about this to some extent, but he's cracked the code of what makes stuff interesting to watch while still being completely nothing.
Yeah, there has been discourse about the MrBeastification of the internet and how he has ushered in this YouTube genre of every shot has to be exciting. Every single second needs to be like the craziest thing you've ever seen. And I think that's very dangerous, and he cautions creators against doing what he does, in the sense of, like, he reinvests basically all of the money back into the videos. He said on the Colin and Samir podcast recently, like, no one should live the way that I live, which I think he's right. No one should live the way he lives, including him.
Man, I don't know, like, I was reading an article where he was talking about the fact that he's, like, he has no personality, and I was like, oh, buddy, are you okay?
Yeah, like, he kind of has to have no personality because he has to be this everyman where, like, one of the most popular jobs when you ask a kid what they want to do is YouTuber, and I think a lot of those kids are thinking of MrBeast, and they can easily project themselves onto MrBeast because he's such a personality-less character. Like, he's very malleable and can be whatever you want to see from him. Like, some people see him as this incredible philanthropist. Some people see him as this annoying stunt guy. Some people see him as actively terrible for society. Like, he's everything. And I think we do that to pop culture figures, whether they're, like, creator economy pop culture figures or, like, Taylor Swift, where celebrities have to be 70 different people at once. And the more you can project yourself onto them, the more mainstream appeal they have to an extent.
And what's really interesting about this is I think it's super deliberate in his case. Can we segue into the part of the podcast which I've labeled Isabel has opinions about the way that MrBeast videos are shot?
I do want to address to that the reason why we are talking about this now is not because we wanted chocolate, but because he has an Amazon Prime show that just got announced. And that jump from YouTube to TV is interesting to me, and I think will be a big moment of truth for how much influence does MrBeast really have, and how does YouTube insane fame translate to the rest of the world, and is it possible to make that jump?
And also, it's been a while since we've done a deep dive on, like, one particular subject, so we're drilling down into MrBeast's hole. Sorry.
Well, he does have a hole because he buried himself alive.
He does have a hole.
Yeah.
He did do that. Yeah. Okay, but, like, going back to what I was saying about him deliberately positioning himself as personality-less, what I found really interesting is that it's not just him that he's doing that to. It's to pretty much most of the people in his videos. Okay, here's some stuff that I noted when I was watching a bunch of MrBeast videos, from, like, you know, a scholarly anthropological angle, as, like, you know, as if I was, like, observing chimps in the wilderness.
Literally, MrBeast anthropology.
Literally, we're doing MrBeast anthropology. Anyway, I think his videos are very smartly made. They're incredibly intelligently shot, but in a way where they are nothing. Deliberately nothing. Each video they're all, like, about, like, 25 minutes long, which I think is probably just a deliberate choice to game the algorithm. But every shot in these videos is not more than, like, 10-30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. You never really linger on a moment. What's interesting about that is also that a lot of these challenges at this point are things that take, like, a month, multiple months, an absurd amount of time to get a 25-minute shot out of. The fact that they're willing to put in this much time and have cameras on people for what they're claiming to be, like, 100 days or whatever, speaks to how much effort is going into making each of these videos that are essentially 25-minute, like, fast, 10-second, like, strung together 10 to 30 second clips. The other thing is that there's not really a storyline other than seeing what happens for this amount of time. There's sort of like an artificial, like, emotional arc that gets created out of these 10 to 30 second clips, but it's also like an arc that's being manipulated by MrBeast changing the rules of the game on people, or outside forces changing the rules of the game on MrBeast. So it's clearly made to make you feel like you're having, like, emotional movement, but nothing ever actually changes.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you never really get a sense of people's personality, or at least other than like a couple of superficial moments that are almost enough to get you invested in a particular person. That's what I thought was really interesting in the 100-day 2 people in a room challenge situation. Because like I came out of that and I was like, I don't know anything about these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally you don't learn anything about these people and you've watched 25 minutes of their 100-day experience together, and that's super deliberate. I thought that was a really interesting choice, and it's also an interesting choice to be making these one video as opposed to stringing it out into multiple videos. So long story short, these are all made to be clipped for TikTok.
No.
That's my hot take. Not my hot take, but that's kind of what my analysis of ruining my fucking YouTube algorithm in the last like 3 days has been.
That's the thing, is like the videos genuinely are really entertaining. Like I wrote an article about the 2 people in a room challenge and just like how it broke my brain because I realized that the American dream is to win money on a MrBeast video, and what does that say about society, etc. But I wrote that while I was home for the holidays, and I was talking to my dad about it, and then he went and watched the whole video. Like, my dad is 63 years old, and he watched an entire MrBeast video and was like, wow, this is interesting.
What I also thought was interesting about this is that this feels very much in like the tradition of like reality TV and like America's Funniest Home Videos and stuff like that, but like perfected for the internet age, which is why it's interesting that he's going back to traditional medias to some extent.
I think that the Amazon Prime deal calls into question, do we need traditional media anymore in an age when creators can make millions and millions of dollars from ad revenue and then reinvest that into their videos? I think the answer is, well, according to things that MrBeast has said since the show with Amazon was announced, is that he essentially became someone with unlimited money from Amazon to do literally whatever he wants. And I would personally think of a couple $1 million as unlimited money, but it's not unlimited money. So as of now, he's spending like $2 to $3 million on each video. The Squid Game video, for example, he said cost $3.5 million to make, whereas like this was something about Squid Game, which is an actual TV show with like actors and writers and like crew, and like it's a TV show, what can I tell you? And the 9-episode Squid Game series cost $21 million to make, which is about $2.4 million per episode, which is less than MrBeast spent on his one video.
See, that's what's actually interesting about MrBeast, is if you start digging into the Beastonomics, if you will.
The Beastonomics.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
It's like Freakonomics, but worse.
He actually is putting a crazy amount of development and like money that goes into making each of these like literally like 25-minute videos about nothing. And why is that? Like, what does that say about us as a society? That's fine.
Yeah, no, but
I don't actually want to interrogate that because it's not good what it says.
But that's why I'm so compelled by MrBeast and why I think he's so interesting, even though I don't like his... I think he's bad for society. The Squid Game recreation in particular, part of why it made me so... I had such a visceral reaction to it was because, as you said, like, nothing happened. I didn't care about the people in the video at all because they're not meant to be actual characters. And I have the same problem with the fact that Netflix made a Squid Game reality show where, like, this is something that was written to interrogate, like, the debt crisis in South Korea, which also there's a debt crisis, like, in the US. Like, I think Squid Game did very well in the US because American viewers can very much relate to being, like, in this hopeless, bottomless pit of, I have so much student loans. Also, I went to the hospital one time and they charged me $1 million. Please help. You have an emotional connection to the characters in the show because you're seeing how they're motivated by their relationships with their family and how they would do anything to, like, protect people in their lives and, like, they're actual characters. It was written by writers. There's people there. But then in the MrBeast video, it's like, we are recreating this, like, dystopian environment to profit. Like, it's like if they did, like, a recreation of the Hunger Games. It's like, that's not the point of the Hunger Games.
if the Hunger Games had been relevant at the time that MrBeast was doing all of this stuff, you know he would have made one. And that's also what's interesting is he completely defangs it. Like, it's like, oh, like any of the death brawls get replaced with a children's game. And it's like, I don't know, the whole vibe was just off to me in a way that was like more dystopian than watching the dystopia. And that's also how I felt when I was watching the guy is stuck in a supermarket and gets $10,000 a day for every day he stays in there. And they also do like psychological torment shit to him, like turn off all the lights.
It really is like psychological torment where, because you're thinking about how easy it would be to just like leave and see your family and be able to see sunlight. Like, you're not going outside for this whole time. The whole thing of Squid Game is a bunch of wealthy people are putting this show on for their own entertainment and because they just want to see poor people like fight to the death. And I'm not saying MrBeast is doing that, because thankfully, like, he's not making people fight to the death, but he is kind of like torturing them with the promise of money. And I will give him the credit that anything he does to other people, he will do to himself, but it's a little dystopian seeing these people in the videos thinking like, okay, so I need $100,000 for my mortgage. I need another $100,000 for me and my wife's student debt. I'd like to get some more money to put down for my kids to go to college. I have some existing debt, so I need some money for that too. And it's like, the things that people spend this money on is just like debt and college.
Nothing that people are talking about buying with the money that they get from this, from winning whatever like twisted game that MrBeast has put together for them, is ever anything like a luxury. I feel like 20 years ago, if you were watching a game show or something, there's more of a sense of like, this is not going toward the money pit, this is going toward making my life better. Whereas a lot of these people are going like, yeah, this is going to the money pit, aka like the debt hole.
Yeah, the almost hole of debt.
The almost hole of debt. Yeah, and what's interesting though is from a filmmaking standpoint, he leaves that in there. This is real like base level literary analysis, but I do think that it's in there because that's supposed to be relatable to the average American, which says a lot about the average American situation.
Yeah. And I think he himself can relate to that in a way too. Like, he didn't grow up wealthy. He's literally just like a random kid from North Carolina. But also, when you ascend to fame so quickly, it has to distort your perception of yourself and your life. I would die to see MrBeast's financial documents. Because, like, what is he doing? Where he says that he himself doesn't have money, that, like, he doesn't pay himself, he just puts everything back into the business, which, that's not exactly true, because if he wants to, like, buy a car, he can just kind of, like, skim that from the overall Beast money pile, but, like...
The Beast money pile.
But, like, a bunch of people rely on him for their paid jobs. Like, he has a whole-ass company at this point. Like, he has a ton of employees.
Yeah, he has, I think, like, 250 or so. Don't quote me. Yeah, it's, like, over 250 people that he employs, and I don't know if that's, like, all full-time or part-time. But it's, like, that's... Even if he personally doesn't have money... He is in a position of power where he is using a lot of money for various things, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, it's also like he could do this Amazon show and make a ton of money and then never do video again and just have millions of dollars, but that doesn't seem to be what he wants to do. I don't know. I'm very fascinated by these sorts of hamster wheel creators, which I'm coining that term now, but it's... The idea that you have to just keep getting bigger or else your audience will lose interest. I always think about David Dobrik in comparison with MrBeast because David Dobrik is sort of a similar guy. He's just like random dude who isn't necessarily from a particularly glamorous background. He's just literally some guy. And he makes funny videos on YouTube and then people like them because... they think he's funny. And then with David Dobrik, he went from being just kind of like an asshole, because he was kind of an asshole in his videos, but he went from that to being accused of creating an environment in which someone was assaulted on his set. And then after that, he did a shoot with his friends who, like MrBeast, his like childhood friends are his bros in his video. Also, Josh Peck was there. Josh Peck is sometimes there for some reason. I don't know why he's friends with David Dobrik. But he did a video where he rented like a giant construction crane, which he didn't know how to use, and he swung his friends around hanging from a string on the construction crane. And at one point he screwed up, and his friend just, like, I don't want to get into the details because podcast, but his friend had 9 surgeries as a result and like almost died. And I'm kind of waiting for that to happen to MrBeast, which I don't want that to happen because I don't want people to get hurt, but I don't think it's possible to keep running on the hamster wheel unless, like, something bad happens. Because now no one talks about David Dobrik now, but a few years ago he was, like, the big guy on YouTube.
Well, I think what's interesting is that I think if anything's going to happen to anybody, it's going to be happening to MrBeast or to one of the contestants. And I'm curious when we're going to see a lawsuit from a contestant.
Oh, that's a good point.
Unless there has been one already and it's been settled or something. But, like, I think that's the, like, you know, like how we talked about, I forget if it was on, like, Love is Blind or one of the other reality TV shows where there was, like, a lawsuit about, like, the conditions. Like, I could see that happening with MrBeast's content pretty readily, just based on the type of content that he creates and the fact that it's, like, a bunch of 20-somethings who are running this whole thing. I feel like I sound really, like, derogatory despite being in my 20s, but I'm also kind of like, buddy, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are these Stanford prison experiments that you're running? Why am I watching this? I'm part of the problem. It almost feels like we're the shareholders in the company that is MrBeast. Like, year over year, you need to show growth in the company, and you need to prove that you're generating shareholder value. This feels similar to the way that MrBeast must constantly up the ante and bring new and more exciting content to the viewer.
This is unrelated, but Kylie Robeson, who is a writer for Fortune, at South by Southwest, I didn't go, but she was posting about being there. She made herself a t-shirt specifically to wear to South by Southwest that says, "I heart creating shareholder value." And I just think that's delightful. Shout out to Kylie. Another thing that I think we need to interrogate is the philanthropy of MrBeast. Like, to this guy's credit, he actually does do a lot of philanthropy work. He, like, builds wells and shit. He raises a lot of money for access to clean water. But certain aspects of his philanthropy work come across as showboaty / badly intentioned. I think one of the issues is, like, earlier in MrBeast land, he would be like, I'm gonna give a random person on the street $1,000, and then make videos where he's, like, going up to people and just giving them $1,000 and recording their reactions, which, hey, I would love for someone to just come up and give me $1,000, but, I mean, obviously he had to keep upping the ante from that because you can't just make that same video a million times. So then he starts, like, giving people the keys to a car, or, like, giving people the keys to a house and just being like, all right, this is your house now, you own it, bye. And then that evolves into, like, person who keeps their hand on this Ferrari for the longest gets to keep it, and it just keeps evolving from there. But last year he made 2 videos. One of them was making 100 blind people see for the first time, and the other was making 100 deaf people hear for the first time. And on one hand, like, if these people want those surgeries and MrBeast is paying for them to get their surgeries, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't think we should be telling people what to do or not to do with their bodies, but this rubbed a lot of disabled people the wrong way because the narratives of needing to cure disability or, like, to save people from themselves can be very, like, eugenics adjacent. Particularly among deaf people, there is a sense of community around deafness that enriches people's lives a lot, and also oftentimes cochlear implants just aren't successful. I read one book about deaf people once, so I know a lot about it and can definitely talk about it, and no, but I mean, I know that...
Here's how WoW Crew can still get canceled on the internet.
But, like, I feel like as I have a very cursory knowledge of deaf culture, and I was able to identify that as something that would be offensive to a lot of deaf people, even though he is purporting to be helping them. And
well, I think what's interesting about this is that, like, on, like, the macro level, does it matter what someone's intentions are for philanthropy? And I think that's, like, a legitimate question to ask, right? Because it's, like, presumably all of these people who are signing up for all of these things are getting it because they want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, assuming that's true, do we care that MrBeast is doing this for clout? I think we talked about this before on the podcast, but
yeah,
you know.
I mean, I think this is one of those things where I'm not sure how much it matters, but I think it's not so much about the individual people as it is the pop culture ramifications. And I don't know, I mean, just even the way MrBeast has, like, talked about these things, where one time he tweeted, "I already know I'm gonna get canceled because I uploaded a video helping people, and to be 100% clear, I don't care." And, like, again, if these people wanted to get these surgeries and couldn't pay for it, and then MrBeast came along and paid for them to get surgeries they wanted, like, cool.
But then on the other hand, like, let's say, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, like a lawyer, and then say that, like, if MrBeast is doing these surgeries and publicizing them and getting more money to do that, to do more philanthropic stuff later, is that a bad thing?
Like, maybe?
I think he's doing a good thing for the wrong reasons, but the wrong reasons are the way to make more good things happen in the future. I don't know. I'm really 50-50 on this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I also think the way that he and his fans reacted to the criticism of these videos were really concerning. The writer Stephen Aquino, who is a blind tech journalist, wrote an article responding to just the discourse around these videos and whether it's, like, a good thing for MrBeast to be curing blindness. And he was kind of offended by the video because it's, like, someone making a video insinuating that you need to change something about yourself to be made whole. And he was getting so much harassment from MrBeast fans for, like, weeks. Like, it was really bad. MrBeast isn't responsible for his fans, but this is the kind of community he's cultivating, who he's sort of doing this thing where he's like, no one can criticize me because I am doing good, and I don't have to be doing good. And that's kind of what he's getting at in the, I already know I'm going to get canceled because I'm helping people, blah, blah, blah.
Right, like, that feels, yeah, I see what you're saying. That feels wrong. I don't know, like, I think the larger issue here is not just MrBeast, but, like you wrote here, sorry, I'm just gonna read what you said and then read what I said.
Fuck yeah.
Because I think they're both funny. Where you were very seriously like, the American dream is getting 100K from a MrBeast video. And then I wrote, 500K, dream big, baby. The social contract is broken, but MrBeast is still good for that $500,000. Which, the problem is capitalism.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The problem is...
Not to be like...
The problem is capitalism, but I also think that his videos are incredibly capitalistic, and it's kind of hard to negotiate that.
I don't think his videos should exist. In a perfect world, I don't think his videos would exist.
Yeah.
And what annoys me is how compelling they are.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think part of it is that, like, you do kind of want to see a guy lose his mind in a grocery store. Like, I think part of this is that MrBeast is taking the narratives that are all, like, you are curious to see. You would never inflict that social experiment on another person. MrBeast is doing it because he has a lot of money to do it with, and now you're the voyeur of the situation. It's kind of how it feels to me.
Yeah, and then I start to wonder, like, well, how long would I last in that situation? And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm a really anxious person.
No, really?
I don't know if you know this, but I went to Laos.
And
bingo card. But, like, I would have a nervous breakdown like 3 days into any of these challenges, whereas I think we've discussed this before in terms of how would we do on the circle, and how you have a very, like, cunning evil streak in you.
A what?
You have, like, an evil...
What did you say?
A cunning evil streak.
You're saying I have a cunning evil streak in me? That's the weirdest way to put it, dude.
I don't know. It's been a long day, but like there's a part of you that goes into a situation and is like, I will do whatever I can to win.
Yeah, the schemes and antics. Why are you calling this a cunning evil streak? Why did you make me sound like a supervillain?
I don't know. Because MrBeast broke my brain.
No, but yeah, but like I kind of agree with you because I'm like I could actually go pretty far in most of these videos, I think.
Yeah, whereas I feel like there are some of them where I would be able to be like, I've been in therapy for a while, I can like regulate my my thoughts, and then at a certain point I just break.
I think I would last pretty long on the grocery store one and less long in the two guys in a room together one.
What if it was you and me in a room together?
I think we would fucking die. Like, listen, love you to death. We would fucking leave. We would not be making that money.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what was also really funny about that video, which again, now it's like, this isn't even like a comment on like the social whatever. This is just me being like a funny thing in a MrBeast video, was those people found a way to like create a TV antenna to get like reception, because at one point they came in and they were like, if you give us $10,000, we'll give you a TV and a bunch of DVDs that you can like use to entertain yourself for the rest of the time. And they said no, but then as like a punishment, they left the TV in their room to be like, you could have been watching the TV, but now you're not. But then they made an antenna and they got cable.
Yeah, so like honestly, but like that's the sort of thing that you would see in like a dystopian science fiction novel.
Yeah, and it's really funny that it happened in a YouTube video.
Which is like, that's a lot. Like, what does that say about that YouTube video? Okay, we're getting off topic. Do you think MrBeast is happy?
I think most people in his shoes would not be happy. But I think maybe because he is who he is like the one guy who can do this and not like have a massive breakdown publicly.
Do you think if you were MrBeast, how would you be doing?
Okay, so here's my life. My dream was always to have a creative career that paid me so that I could do creative stuff for a living and be fine with it. As I get more successful and as I have a creative career where I have a lot of freedom to just write whatever I want and I work from home and I'm with all my plants, I don't want to say I'm not happy, but all of my problems still exist. I'm not trying to like compare myself to like celebrities, but it's like, in a way, I've basically gotten what I've always wanted, and then you realize, okay, well, I still have these like chronic mental health issues that are not going to go away just because my like stressors about money and my job and whatever went away. Where like, yeah, I mean, it does help your mental health to be making enough money that you can like order takeout sometimes and it's not the end of the world, but it doesn't make you happy.
So what I'm hearing is that if you were MrBeast, not that much would change for you.
Yeah, I think what I have learned about myself is that my overall satisfaction with life is only somewhat connected to my professional success rather than entirely connected as I thought in the past. When you're in high school, or this is just me because I'm crazy, but when I was in high school, I was like, everything in my life will be perfect if I just go to an Ivy League school. And I worked myself to death and I achieved that. And then you get to the Ivy League school and you're like, everything will be perfect if I just get a good job out of college. And then you work really hard, you climb your way up the ladder, you end up getting capital T, capital J, the job. And then you're like, here I am. I haven't left my apartment all day, and I have 2 partially eaten chocolate bars in front of me.
I mean, hey, look on the bright side. You got 2 chocolate bars.
The bright side.
This is actually a win for you.
It is a win for me. To be clear, I'm not leading a miserable life. Like, I have a good life. Things are good. Like, whatever. But I think you see a lot of dissatisfaction among very accomplished people and like celebrities and stuff because you get to that place because you work yourself so hard, because you think that's how you're gonna get happy, but then you get the thing and then you're like, oh, I have to go to therapy, I think. I am in therapy.
You know what I think is going to be really yeah, see, I was going to go to therapy this year, and I don't know if that's happening. Don't worry
I think
about
you
it.
should because of the redacted.
If you get handed every single one of your dreams on a plate, you will still fundamentally be the person that you are. That's what I've learned in the last month. That simply continues to be true.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to say is that I really want to see MrBeast's quarter-life crisis. Because he's a couple years younger than us. So he's due for a quarter-life crisis. But he's the sort of guy who will put people in rooms for months. And will put himself in a room and will for like a week. And will bury himself in a coffin. Or like strand himself on a raft. And I think whatever that man does for his quarter-life crisis is going to be fascinating.
I don't even want to imagine what he's gonna do. Like, is he gonna bury himself alive for a month instead of a week? And even, like, in that video, they had doctors there being like, he might not be able to stand when the challenge is over. And it's like, bro. Also worth pointing out that YouTube videos do not have the same safety regulations that Hollywood things do. And at least from what I can tell, it does seem like MrBeast takes that stuff seriously and, like, hires, like, medics and shit for his antics, but also, like, he doesn't have to do that. Like, no one's forcing him to hire medics.
I feel like we're ending this on a very sad note.
But I mean, I think that's the thing is, like, to reconnect this to my my magnum opus, my thesis, it's like, not only is the American dream going on a MrBeast video and getting $100,000 and then paying off your student loans and also your credit cards, the American dream is to be MrBeast. But then it's like, does anybody want to be MrBeast? Like, do you want to have this absolutely absurd, insane life where, like, he doesn't have any hobbies and he doesn't want to have any hobbies? Like, in the Colin and Samir podcast he did, they were like, do you do anything for fun? And he's like, I go to the gym, but what I do for fun is I make videos, and that's my job. Then again, I do this podcast for fun where I talk about the internet, and my job is also to talk about the internet, so...
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually sounded extremely relatable, because, like, for the last, like, 2 or 3 years, like, my hobby was writing, and my day job was doing lawyer shit, and I don't really have any hobbies that are not, like, content creation, which is not healthy, by the way. People should do stuff that isn't monetizable.
This is why you should join that sword club you told me about.
I should join the sword club. Maybe I will do that. But the thing is, see, even that would be for writing stuff, because I think MrBeast has the same brain rot that I do, where it's like, every time I do something, I'm like, this is going to be writing or it's going to be content.
Yeah, I mean, I did live in an 18-person house for 3 years because I knew it would create content for my later writing.
Okay, that's actually... that could have been a MrBeast video.
Oh my god, MrBeast video.
I live in an 18-person punk house. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, I lived in an 18-person punk house for 3 years. One time I told someone to throw away their trash, and then they got mad at me in a listserv. AMA.
Yeah, and see, like, and that's what I'm saying, is you could boil that down to a crisp 25-minute video. That's a MrBeast video
That was
right
3
there.
years of my life.
On that note...
Is MrBeast an Omelas child?
I think MrBeast is creating Omelas children.
MrBeast himself is not the Omelas kid, he is creating the Omelas kids.
Honestly, like, I don't know, like, maybe he is, like, I feel like he's like Willy Wonka.
No, he, like, literally gets compared to Willy Wonka, except unlike the Glasgow Willy Wonka, he, like, does make a thing.
Do you want me to read my, you shouldn't want this. Do you want me to read my, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory / my Omelas story crossover fiction that came from a 2 a.m. discussion with, people at the Wizard conference I was at?
Yeah, tell us about the Wizard conference, and also what the fuck.
Well, okay, so first I'm gonna read this to you, because it's, this is authorized fan fiction by the author. So they broke into the chocolate factory and killed the kid, and Wonka said, literally, what the hell, this was the only good kid in the bunch. And all the lights went out in the chocolate room. Click, click, click. And the delicious chocolate pipes burst, and there was a molten sugar leak, and the Oompa Loompas said the glass elevator was broken, so Wonka, the same Wonka, held another golden ticket contest, and brought another group to the factory. This is how I feel about MrBeast.
I think he did hold a golden ticket contest at one point.
Of course he did. I was at the International Conference for the Fantastic and the Arts, which is
name.
a academic science fiction and fantasy convention that is held every year in Florida that I got invited to. I made friends. I made enemies. I corrupted the youth. That's a lie. I made no enemies. I gave Baby's first reading. I gave Baby's first panel. I spent a lot of time by the pool, but I did not actually get into the pool. And science fiction writers are so goddamn weird, and I mean that with utmost love and respect.
You mean...
I also went to Denny's. and 3 out of... And I think like 4 out of the 5 people I was there with, like, had Hugo... Maybe it was 3 out of 5. So, more than half of the people I was there with had won a Hugo Award. And I was just kind of like, this is the Denny's.
Yeah.
I got an omelet.
And on that note...
If you like this episode, tell a friend. Word of mouth is how we grow. Thank you to all of our patrons, and shout out specifically to Zoe, Bray, Andromeda, Thea, Brian, Gabriel, Lada, Matt, Max, my sugar daddy Sam, Jock, and Aaron's husband. If you want your name in the above or in our Twitter header, slide right into our Patreon at patreon.com/wowoftrue. Shout out to audio editors Allison Mills and David Newtown, graphic designer Canva Warlock, Eric Silver, who made our logo, Sam Rizer, who made our podcast music, and Tessa Farrow, who's transcribing our episodes. You can find us on Twitter as @wowofTruePod and Instagram and Facebook as @wowoftrue. Had your 15 seconds of internet fame? Slide right into our Twitter DMs and tell us about it. And until next time, let's get weird on the internet.